So I'm here with my good friend, Erik Ireland. Welcome. Thanks for having this chat.
Thanks for having me.
So we were talking this morning a bit about the hero's journey and the work you do with groups along those lines. And I thought to ask you, I have a good number of people who comment on my videos or contact me, often younger people who feel this sense of not really having direction in life. But I want to unpack that a little bit. Obviously, if they're commenting on my channel, watching my videos and so forth, they often have genuine spiritual interest. But I feel like, based on their comments, and it feels like what they're communicating to me is that they kind of perceive that there's a sort of underlying instability maybe in their life, something that just makes them feel like their conventional life is something they haven't figured out. They haven't figured out how to start. They don't have direction or even motivation, and they don't really have the impetus to find their own direction. Mm-hmm. And so they kind of feel lost. And this isn't the majority of the people who watch my videos and my commenters, but I get enough of these. And often my instinct is not to, tell them to continue to investigate in a spiritual way aggressively, but more to orient toward the more conventional aspects of their life. And that's where I think your work comes in. And I do try to recommend people to you and so forth. But I guess I wonder what's your take on this? What is your feel? And I know you interact with a lot of people who are going through this. Yeah. And what are your thoughts on this?
Well, I'll kind of start with my own experience. It really started, for me, my spiritual journey started at 19, mm-hmm. when I hadn't even gone through, I'd just been through my first year of college. Mm-hmm. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. Mm-hmm. And my spiritual journey started kind of as an end run around that decision. Mm. I could just do this spiritual thing and that will make me happy. And if I'm happy, then it won't really matter what I do. And somehow this will solve that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it didn't. And there was so much wanting for the spiritual solution to fix a problem, I guess. And at that point, I hadn't even really figured out what the problem was. So it was just all very confusing to me at that age. Mm. And I see this a lot with younger people now, even before they get to that point of looking for a spiritual solution. They're just looking for a direction that makes sense in life. Mm. And we're all offered so many, you could do this, you could do that, you could be a YouTube star, or mm-hmm. you could be a doctor, and I think there's a general dissatisfaction with a lot of the options.
Yeah.
And so what I found for myself was that the hero's journey was a way to combine the two. The journey through the outside world to knowing who we are inside. Mm. And I did it incorrectly or ineptly for 30 years before I really got the full sense of what it involved. I was looking outside of myself for adventure in the world to make me happy. Mm-hmm. If I can follow this path of surrendering to what's happening, that will make me happy. Mm-hmm. Well, the part I wasn't surrendering was the me part.
Yeah.
It was here's an adventure. I'm going to go take it. Adventures will make me happy. Mm. And I think that especially a lot of young people look at their career choice as, if I pick the right career, I will be fulfilled, I will be happy, and then I win the game of life. Mm. And that's how we play, right?
Yeah.
It might work that way for some people, mm-hmm. but I see it not working for more people.
Yeah.
So really the hero's journey lets us combine those two things, and the main thrust of it is how to move through the unknown in life.
Yeah.
You know, to give you a map effectively of the unknown. Like the unknown is normal.
Yeah.
It is what life is. And so to be able to kind of tell somebody, it's okay, you don't have to have all the answers. You can take that step and the answers come then.
Yeah. I love that. I love the just the description that there's a sort of map of the unknown. I mean, I might call it intuition, for instance. I might also call it just actually loving the mystery, learning to actually love the unknown, rather than, as you mentioned, trying to make your life into something that you think other people think life should look like,
right?
Or that you've heard through all the sources, media, your parents, all these different things, but rather actually trusting that there's this profound and really wonderful unknown aspect to life, but not even the narrative of life, or not just the narrative of life, but also to this moment actually. And that's what I find is the steps to the future, the steps toward success, the steps toward my creativity, all of it, they're really right here actually. They're always right here. Like you don't get to a future in your mind.
Right.
You go deeper into this present moment, and then amazing things start happening.
Right.
So some of it really has to do with an understanding of presence, the nature of presence itself, which is very intertwined with, intimate with this mystery or this unknown.
And for me, that was the real difference between approaching the hero's journey as a way to make me happy, to find success in my own kind of non-traditional way. You know, like I went to school to become an actor, and you know, like that's not a career that most people choose to be successul. And so it's an outlier career, right? And then I didn't really know how to make that work as an actor. So I had all these jobs after it, and I was just chasing. And I did that for almost 30 years before I realized that the part that was missing was that presence, that mindfulness part. And so I became a mindfulness teacher, got my certification in mindfulness, and then it all came together. And I saw that basically I have this, the way that I teach the hero's journey is the thing I call the myth's mind reset, where we can take the mind from being our nemesis or our, you know, this thing that's constantly, we're like, I don't understand what's happening in my mind.
Like working against us.
Yes.
It feels like it's working against us.
Yeah. And we can kind of like bring it in line with who we are. So that it's not separate from us. It's just a part of who we are.
Yeah.
And so it starts with mindful. It's myths. It's an acronym, right? Mindfulness is the first pillar of that, and that is looking at the question of who am I? Who am I? So that's the beginning of the hero's journey, is an ordinary person in the ordinary world. And you don't have to be special. You don't have to be doing anything different. You don't have to be anywhere different. Your hero's journey starts right where you are, as you are, with mindfulness. And the first step of the hero's journey is from the known to the unknown. And that's yielding.
Yeah.
That's the second pillar of the myth's mind reset, when we can yield to what life is offering us. And frequently that yielding becomes yielding to something that you don't want, something that's a grief or a loss. The hero's journey doesn't start with winning the lottery. Usually it starts with losing something important.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we take that step. That's the first step into the unknown. And another part of the hero's journey is that refusal of the call, where we sit there at the edge. And some people never leave the ordinary world.
I want to ask you about that, because I think when you said yielding, I think of like the term I might use more frequently, although their equivalent I think actually is surrender. But it often comes in, you know, the form of tragedy, unexpected loss, things just not going the way you thought they were going to. You know, just a massive pattern reset in life. Right. And life is a genius of doing this, and we all go through that, or we all have those, I would just call them opportunities. I actually think this is where a lot of times people get disoriented, meaning instead of seeing it as an opportunity, a way of looking deeper into who you are, to connect it to the first step you were discussing, it's more like it can cause almost like a disassociation, or like, I want to just back out of life. I just want to go into a safe place.
Yeah.
But safe in a way that's kind of numb, you know? And I guess I might ask, what kind of pointers do you have for somebody who goes through a tragedy or is going through a tragedy and is like, life was not what I thought it was. Everything I counted on is kind of gone right now. You know, I don't know how to orient myself, but how can they orient themselves to the mystery, to the yielding, and see that as an opportunity to dig deeper into the identity structure?
Yeah, great question. And I look at yielding as like a way to develop the muscle that allows you to surrender when life asks. That there's so for me anyway, I was big parts of my life I wanted to surrender so badly, and that wanting kept the surrender from happening. And so the idea behind yielding is it's a way that we can consciously say, okay, I'm not going to fight.
Yeah.
I'm going to just not fight. And then as we develop that habit almost of not fighting and of accepting, we don't have to want it. We don't have to like it. Just have to accept it.
Yeah.
And yielding is a way of accepting it and taking that first step, because that resistance you're talking about, that disassociation, is our attempt to stay in the ordinary world.
Yeah.
And the ordinary world doesn't stay ordinary. It won't stay comfortable.
Yeah.
And so, but we just cling to the idea of it used to be comfortable. I want that again. How do I go back to the past?
Right.
How do I not change this thing?
Yeah.
And so as we're clinging in that space, we're refusing the call.
Yeah.
You know, and this is the wisdom of the hero's journey from prehistory.
Ancient times.
It's the oldest story.
All the myths are
Oldest
fused
story
with it. Yeah.
And it's the Barbie movie. It's our most, you know, it's the biggest movie in the world.
It's all around us. Yeah.
We want this story.
It's archetypal.
Yes. Yeah. So that's where yielding comes in. It's a way that you can move toward building the muscle that when life asks for you to surrender, you can do it.
I love it.
You know?
I love it. It's like, you know, instead of trying to go back to the ordinary, be willing to enter the extraordinary.
Yeah.
And that's it, right? It's literally your call, those moments of surrender, those moments of yielding or being called to yield. It's a choice, really. It's like, am I going to stay in the safe place, or am I going to just see how this mystery unfolds?
And I love how you called it the extraordinary.
Yeah.
Because it really is.
Yeah.
It isn't just unknown. It is the extraordinary.
So we've covered M and Y. So let's shelve it and cover the rest of the steps on the next conversation.
Sure.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It's been a blast.
Really, really fun.
All right.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.